Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Good morning. This is Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dorset Street in Colombo. And in this post-Mahendran, post-Bond term, we're joined by Mr. Rusaripala Tenakon, a former chairman of the Bank of Ceylon and a senior banker who's been part of this whole exercise of trying to get some justice and information on the flawed bond deal. Mr. Rusaripala, now that, thank you for being on the program. I noticed that you didn't have any security when you came in.
I don't think so that I need one.
Right, okay, you're a brave man, I think. But you can always give us a call. Now then, Mr. Rusaripala, Arjuman's gone.
Yeah.
He didn't appear in court yesterday. It wasn't clear whether he was supposed to appear at court yesterday.
I see.
And so is that the end of the scandalous bond transaction?
As far as it can't be, it has been such a very big issue for the whole country. There are so many concerns expressed, and there are so many quarters who express their interest in the matter. So a thing like that cannot just be concluded in that form. Whether Arjuna Mahendran was there or not is not important. What is important is to elicit the information from the authorities in a proper manner. And make it clear to the public as to exactly what really has happened in an authenticate manner. But I must tell you, thanks to the role that the media played, particularly Sirasa played, you know, we are proud to state today that all what we have been stating about the bond issue, we are very happy to note that they have been doubly assured and confirmed by authorities, no other than the highest person that who can look up to in such a situation, the Auditor General of the country.
Yes.
So although we are not privy to have access to his report as such, but from what is being reported, we are very confident, you know, that we have been on the right track.
We got it right, and various people have been misleading the public and are actually misleading the Parliament as well. I want to know from you, well, okay, I'll come back to that, but the papers are almost full of it. The Island is a headline story saying that Mahendran ignored the Public Debt Department warnings, went ahead with bond sales, officials tell Cope. Now, Saman Indrajit is writing that story for the Island, and Mr. Rusaripala, it is an absolutely sensational thing here. It says that a group of senior central bankers yesterday informed the Committee on Public Enterprises, probing the controversial bond deals, that then Governor Arjuna Mahendran had told them he acted on the instructions of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. That is absolutely astonishing. Do you think that Mr. Mahendran is dropping names?
I think it is not merely astonishing, but it's a very, very serious sort of implication, I should say, to name the Honorable Prime Minister in this thing, you know. I mean, even if he had had a discussion privately with him on a policy issue, official like Mahendran should never have stated that, you know, in that form. That leads to a lot of aspersions and then suspicions in the minds of the public of this country, which is not warranted. I mean, after all, no one is interested in, you know, pointing a finger at the Prime Minister on this issue. I mean, nobody wants to do that. We only want to get to the bottom of the truth.
Indeed.
So therefore, a person like him in that capacity, I mean, I'm not actually much disturbed about such a statement, because the Auditor General reportedly has also stated that he has not acted in the diligence that is required of a professional in that capacity by this person. So he's making a statement of this nature. I mean, nobody should get astonished about it. So it's very bad. But far as what is happening now in the second COPE committee, I should say, is there's nothing new happening, although the central bank officials have been summoned.
Yeah.
The only difference is they have been summoned to that committee in a different atmosphere. That is, earlier they were under so much of pressure, I should say, when they are saying something against their boss, something against the chief person.
Yeah.
You know, they would have been a bit reluctant and reserved.
And we have to realize that these are usually well-paid career bankers who wouldn't want to barter the safety of their employment by indulging, because they've seen governors come and governors go.
Yeah.
And governors try to hang on.
Yes.
And governors trying to clutch at straws.
Yes.
And so they're quite used to this.
Yeah.
So one wouldn't blame them, one wouldn't fault them.
No, not at all. I mean, I think they are well aware of the Tennyson's brook, you know, when they come and when they go, but they go on. You see, they have been there for ages. They have grown up with the central bank. After all, the central bank has gone all these days without accusations of this nature.
Correct.
It's only after this Arjuna Mahendran's tenure that all these things cropped up.
But isn't it amazing, Mr. Sripala, the amount of public outrage, public concern, the public's conscience was more than aroused. It was the public's conscience, to me, appeared to be a spontaneous combustion, because the public, even though they didn't really know what the minute detail was, they knew something was amiss. And what is now seeping out of the cracks from Cope vindicates that position.
Definitely, I fully agree with you. Don't forget that this issue first cropped up during a time when the country was going in for an election.
Yeah.
No, it was such a sensitive political issue at least for those politicians who were involved in some way or the other. And we cannot forget that chapter. You see, so it came up at that moment, but then every action at that time we observed was, directed towards how best they can sort of suppress it for the time being. And now it has cropped up for the second time, because over the passage of time, a new parliament came, and due to the promises that was given by the earlier parliament, that this would be taken up subsequently. So what is now going on, as by way of evidence, by the central bank officials, is a reconfirmation of apparently what they have stated already to the previous commission.
Indeed. But Mr. Rispala, I think the time is opportune for us to acknowledge the superb independence and the integrity and the probity of the officials at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, who have quietly taken all the blows, and none of them succumbed to the blows. But they waited and they chose their time, and especially the Deputy Governor, who spoke with such clarity at Cope yesterday, as reported in the paper. We really owe him a big thank you for upholding the integrity and the sanctity of the office or the institution known as the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. We should be justifiably proud of them. And ladies and gentlemen of the Central Bank, and especially the Deputy Governor, thank you for being so forthright. I thought we must do that because we need to.
I join with you, Faraz, in no uncertain terms. I would like to join with you and say we really appreciate, as members of the public, who are waiting to see justice being done, who are waiting to see the good name of the central bank is cleared, and this whole thing exposed properly. So, in that sense, we owe thanks to the officials of the central bank, and we do really appreciate their role.
Shall we start a movement that will ask the Minister of the Treasury to give them all ministerial level duty-free permits. That do.
I think they are already privy to a lot of privileges, but that's a different
No,
thing.
but they deserve every bit. Every bit.
Yes.
The people at the central bank are top guys.
Yes.
They are. They do Sri Lanka proud, and we do acknowledge their very important role. Predictably, we've got some noise coming from the government side. We have Mr. Kirialla, who says that the Auditor General's report is flawed and that not sought expert opinion and presented in a hurry. Well, whose fault is all that?
Whereas I'm very reluctantly, though, I have to say that some of the statements made by the parliamentarians, not only the ordinary parliamentarians, even cabinet ministers, particularly in this context, have become a joke. They must understand that there is a whole world looking at this. No, this type of things, I mean, this camp, I should say, from our standards, although the amounts may be smaller compared to what happened in America or what happened elsewhere, but compared to our own budget and our own financial situation, pro rata wise, it's a huge, big amount.
Indeed.
So, in such a situation, the people in authority, the people who are responsible to maintain good governance in the country, if they do make such joking statements, and vituperative statements, it's very bad. I should say we should openly condemn that type of thing.
Definitely.
And if these politicians think that they want to make us behave or run in the direction that they direct us to go, I think they are making a very big mistake.
Yeah, they got something else coming.
Yeah, when they want to say, well, when it suits them, they say, okay, it is the gospel truth coming from so and so. When it doesn't suit them, they say, oh, this is just an opinion. You think they are naive, the people in the country, to believe this type of thing? So it is very bad. I should say, as a member of the public, we openly denounce that type of statements.
Of course, yes. That's very good that you brought that up. Mr. Kirialla is merely clutching at straws when he knows jolly well what is going on at home, and he knows far more than as what has been written in the Island this morning. The Island gives us just a little snippet, really, but a very important one. But Mr. Spala, now, don't you think? Can I cast your mind to a couple of weeks ago? Britain, the Eton-educated, the 19th production from Eton for the post of Prime Minister of England. The 19th. Just imagine, that school's just produced 19 Prime Ministers of England.
Yeah, let me interrupt you in a very unorthodox manner, Faraz. You have been very, very familiar with things happening in Great Britain. And I know you're often there and you know better about the UK than Sri Lanka. So let me ask you a question. You are asking me questions all the time.
It's okay. I will permit you one.
If a thing like this, an incident like this, happened in Great Britain, what would have been the course of action taken by the Prime Minister of UK?
Well, I can tell you that no sooner the event, or whichever event, this hypothetical event that you talk about, no sooner the event takes place, the Prime Minister's Communication Department at Downing Street will be wheeling out the rostrum with the mics. Calls will be made to the media personnel to turn up, and I would give it half an hour. And that is only because of the logistics of getting all the different TV crews there and so on. And rest assured, Mr. Rusipala, rest assured that any person holding the job of Prime Minister, Eton educated or not, in Britain, would have tendered their resignation on matters far lesser than Brexit and the vote there.
Faraz, observing what really happened in the very recent past about the Brexit affair, and also in the context of Sri Lanka aspiring to follow it to the letter the Westminster system, going towards that, even working towards constitutional changes towards that, I think we must set an example in this country too.
Well, it is absolutely incredible that this has been going on and on and on, and at the end of the day, the concern raised by all these groups, including ourselves, and that we highlighted, it's on its way to being vindicated. Some of it is already. Do you think that the Prime Minister will resign?
No, I just can't comment on that, but it all depends on what comes out, what is. But at least, or in the least, the public of this country expect this so-called investigation or examination to go on uninterrupted, unobstructed by the state officials. At least if that happens, it's a great service to the country, it's a great service to the good image of the central bank of this country. It is a good image, the message to the whole world about how the economy in this country is managed. That's what we are hoping. In the least, at least that must happen.
Let's find out a bit more from Mr. Rusripala Tennakoon, who's our guest this morning on Newsline. Do stay tuned while we take a short break. After all, this is Newsline.
First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Welcome back to Newsline, where our guest this morning is Mr. Rusripala Tennakoon, the former chairman of the Bank of Ceylon, a senior banker, trade unionist, and several other things. Mr. Rusripala, what next? What next? Should there be a... You're a banker, you understand these matters. Why? In fact, the question is why. Why is COPE in being so slow? Why haven't they ordered a independent forensic audit?
I think the foundation, it appears that there has to be a foundation led by the COPE. If they are really examining the affairs of the incident in that form, they should conclude by making their observations, like what the Attorney General has apparently done within his realm of authority and expectation. He has given a report to the COPE, and within the realm of the activities of the COPE, they should go through that, and they must take it up to a certain level, and if it is warranted for further clarifications and examinations in the context of what has happened, they will definitely recommend and make it necessary or known that such investigations are necessary, a forensic audit or whatever. Now you can see how FBI proceeded in the case of Raj Rajaratnam's case. I mean, they took some time, but you see, ultimately the man is behind bars today, and it's a very, very big scandal. But they unearthed everything.
Indeed.
They went to the extent of even finding, after he was jailed, they went to the extent of finding out who else are involved. So this is a never-ending thing.
Yes.
And with regard to one thing, something that is reported in the papers as have been stated by some members of the COPE in the Parliament, I must make a small observation in fairness to the officers of the central bank. I mean, if anybody is trying to sort of pass the buck to or responsibility to the central bank officials, what must be borne in mind is, you see, the central bank has its own disciplinary rules and regulations. If anybody has overstepped his role in discharging their duties, I mean, the central bank rules and laws are well enough to take care of that situation. The COPE need not, or some members in the COPE for some obvious reason, need not sort of push somebody to take action against them. Because the central bank has been in existence, surviving with all the disciplinary rules and all the rules and regulations applicable to them. So I think it can take its own course.
But our Prime Minister, unfortunately, Mr. Rusripala, don't want to point this out, but I must. When it came to the awarding of the highway contracts, the Prime Minister said, he made a public statement, he said that he had managed to save 30 billion on the Central Expressway. Later, we were told that the saving was actually 8 billion. Now, the fact is that Prime Minister was responsible with his ministers, to grant the same company, whom they had previously said was 90% corrupt, 10% were. They gave the same company the same contract, but they made an apparent saving, or they attempted to make that saving, by reducing the scope of the work, which means that they were originally asked to build a 6-story building, and they agreed then to let them only build 3. So clearly you saved money.
Yeah.
Right, so that's a simple thing.
No,
so
Faraz, can I interrupt you for a while?
Yes.
Can I please interrupt you? I mean, there is a very strange similarity here in the incident of the central bank also.
Yeah.
Here is a wonderful example of an unsolicited tender being offered when calling for 1 billion by the Public Debts Department of the central bank. They have ended up offering 10 billion.
Yeah.
And from what is reported,
Yeah.
the attempt was to offer 20 billion.
That's right.
But then the central bank reportedly, the officials intervened, and then to the extent they could hold it,
Yeah.
you know, within the requirements of the accepted principles of the central bank. To the extent that they could hold it, they have objected to that and said, "My God, don't do it. You know, that will upset the whole entire infrastructure in the country, the markets, everything." And I mean, we must thank them, but they could not go beyond their limits. You know, there have been some limits. And here is an example of a really unsolicited thing which has worked out, you know, to offer, putting the entire other several other primary dealers out of gear, of not knowing how much they should bid for when they were asked to bid for only 1 billion. The central bank ends up offering 10 billion, or concluding the tender, the offer with an award of 10 billion. What is this?
Exactly, and it seemed that I don't really know why COPE, well, they may well be, but it doesn't appear to us that they are. But, Mr. Risipala, a forensic audit revealed many details about a politician in the Republic of Kenya many years ago. And that report was termed by a British newspaper as the raping of Kenya. And a similar thing has clearly happened in Sri Lanka, where our treasury has been raped. And there have been substantial losses. One minister claimed that it was a notional loss. You know, it's very fancy and easy to say that. Another minister said that there are no charges. But really, nobody's talking about the element of criminality. I think what we're talking about is then the element of professionalism and what the people expect. The Auditor General spoke, Mr. Risipala, about a primary duty of care. Surely those are what matters to the people.
Yeah, but don't forget the fact that the focus of the examination or the COPE inquiry is basically mainly on this bond issue that happened in February 2015.
Indeed.
But now there is much more information and details going beyond that. There had been another second bond issue amidst this calamity.
Yes.
Amidst this confusion, and the whole country was complaining about it in March this year.
Exactly.
And going to very high limits, high limits. About 77 billion being offered when 40 billion has been called for at very high rates.
And that's why it is essential, imperative. It's imperative to have a independent forensic audit of this firm. Somebody told me, so it's therefore subject to verification, that the profits of that company in the time period before Mr. Mahendran became the governor was X, and the profits thereafter was 10 times X. That's, I haven't had enough time to confirm that. So you know, you need to bear that in mind if you're going to rely on that information. But Mr. Sipala, isn't it absolutely disgraceful that these so-called men of integrity have led this country down such a slippery path?
Dear Faras, what is important here is, if such a thing happens in another field, well, these things are happening in a normal contract or a world of a contract, it's a different thing. But don't forget, this is happening in a very sort of sacrosanct field, the monetary field, the financial field of the country, So, this is very much more in gravity and importance when compared to the relevance to the economy and to the image that the other countries in the international community has towards Sri Lanka. After all, our entire economy today is oriented towards getting FDIs, foreign investments into this country. Now, what does that mean? We have to build the confidence to the highest possible level in that field for the foreign investors to come here. When they know these such things are happening in the central most place dealing with the economy and the monetary affairs of this country, I leave it to you to decide what their opinion would be.
Their opinion will be solid, but their opinion will also be buoyed when they realize that, at least in terms of the media in this country, that there is a robust media who are seeking accountability and responsibility. And we must acknowledge the efforts of the Island newspaper, led by its editor and other senior staff there, who have played quite an investigative role and have been constantly highlighting various things. Well done, the Island. Wonderful. It's essential that the people, at least the people, can relax now, can't they?
Of course.
Because it appears that things are coming out of court.
No, it's a sense of sort of some kind of relaxation for us, because with the right of information, with a word of thanks to this government, they opened up the thing. No, without any fear, people can express their views. Of course, that is a positive factor that the whole world will look at, and who will observe or who will take note of. Because people are talking very freely, people are criticizing. That is what is required. And what is it leading to? What do we gain by making these comments?
Exactly.
It is only in public interest. And what is the court doing? The court examination is for the sake of the public.
Indeed.
What they are doing is, because being the institution, the primary, the most important peak institution in the country, the parliament, they have a duty by the public to bring the truth out. So it must appear to everybody, including the international community, that it goes on uninterrupted. So the role that the media plays there is very, very important.
And of course, Mr. Sipala, it pays to remember, doesn't it, that gentlemen are never in a hurry. So why the indecent hurry to find out, to get to the bottom of the bond scandal? We're getting there.
Well, Faraz, the old story goes on. Skeletons will remain in the cupboards, but there will be a day, if they are just left in the cupboards in that form, there will be a day to open the cupboards and take them out.
Indeed.
It has happened.
Yes. So we'll thank you, Mr. Sipala, for being on Newsline. We really do appreciate your presence, and thank you for all your efforts. Forget what hurt you in the past, but never forget what it taught you. Have a super Friday, a peaceful weekend. Take care, and God bless.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.